Hi, how's it going? My name is Eduardo Ramos. I'm going to be going over my presentation draft, which is Emerging Technologies in Legal Psychology. This is for course 73266, Psychology and the Law, for Professor Hayden Henley. Of course, your presenter, Eduardo Ramos. So let's get right into it. Um, so a little bit of content page, just to kind of give you a little overview of what we plan to do today. Kind of got to give you a little bit of a rundown. So what we plan to do is kind of go over some topic points. So number one, we're gonna go over how would AI change law. That's gonna be our next slide. Number two, main topic points. So what is the main idea that we're trying to focus on with the concept of artificial intelligence and its incorporation into law? We'll be going over a case study, which is the International Survey on the Use of Emerging Technologies, which will give us a little bit of insight of its usage and its main points as to why this is significant. We'll also go over some research on juvenile offenders risk assessment training, which will explain a little bit more on the usage of AI and people's opinions on it. Um, we'll have our signification, which is what does it signify? Why is it important? Why should we care? I think that's the main thing, right? And then of course with the main argument, there's always going to be some issues, there's going to be some concerns, and that's what it is. Just issues and concerns, kind of going over why people might think this is not a great idea. Um, we'll wrap it up with our conclusions, so we'll kind of just give an idea of what everything really means. Um, what we kind of summed up in the grand scheme of things from all our information and kind of make our decision based on that. And, which I'll go into the next slide as well. And then we have our references page. So let's go on. So main thing is how would AI and technologies change the law? So, a great quote that I found from Masayoshi Son, which is actually the CEO of SoftBank, is artificial intelligence is not a threat to humanity. It can be a great boon, which I think is a great saying because he's trying to emphasize the need for technology and more specifically AI to be incorporated into our daily lives. This is something that we haven't seen prior, and it's something that I want to show you a little bit later. Um, I'm going to show you a little video, quick little minute. We won't go too much into it. I'll just kind of skip into the main points from Robert Mahari, which gives an introduction to the idea of AI and the corporation of transformation of law with artificial intelligence and its benefits alongside with the risk of artificial intelligence. Um, a question I want you to keep in mind is, do you think AI should be used in the judicial system? I think that's something you should keep in your mind and decide if it's something you agree with or you don't. So let's play the video real quick. We're going to skip a little bit in here. So
Instantaneous payments,
watch it right here.
farming, where we've reimagined how to produce food for billions of people, medicine, where we figured out breakthroughs that allow us to live longer than ever before, but not law. Law today is fundamentally the same as it was 100 years ago. The most disruptive technology in the law is probably Microsoft Word. And so everyone's been left behind. Even in the United States, 90% of the civil problems encountered by low-income Americans receive either no legal aid or insufficient legal aid. Around the world, the problem is much worse. And so it is for us to figure out how can we use technology to improve the law. My group at MIT is doing just that, and I want to share a couple of examples of the work we're doing. We're thinking
So
about
I'm going to pause here and kind of show you a couple things. So some of the main points he actually brings right here with transferring law with AI is he wants to prepare for litigation, forecasting legal risk, and empowering judicial reform. So these are some main points that I'll go over in my final presentation. But I think this is something that's really interesting to keep in mind, right? I'm gonna skip a little bit forward. And he actually mentions some pros and cons to this as well. He talks about the risk of legal AI and kind of notes that it might lead to capture by big players, legal acidification, and undermining trust, which is something we should, of course, be worried about. Now, I'll go into the next slide, which is the main topic point. So, AI and decision making, this is a three-step plan that I have in mind. Artificial intelligence and tools would greatly improve judicial decision making and fairness all across the board. I think that's something that could be discovered and really test it out, something that we haven't done yet. Um, some of the main topic points that we might see with the change is improve efficiency, reduce backlogs, enhance fairness in legal processes. AI tools can assist with legal research, something really that's actually quite used right now, and possibly even predict sentence outcomes. Something that's a little bit controversial, something I won't go too much into today because that's a little bit of a hypothetical question. Is that something that's even beneficial? But something to keep in mind. Sorry. And then ultimately, our main point is, does this justify AI decision making as a valid tool? Something that we'll decide at the very end. So with our next slide, I have this case study. Done by the International Survey on the Use of Emerging Technologies. Um, One of the research questions was, how often are they using these technologies or those technologies, pardon. And another one was, how much has their use of those technologies changed due to the COVID-19 pandemic? And something that we know is the study had a sample size of individuals, 555 individuals from different countries, and tested how many of them use some sort of technology in their work. Results show that 100% of respondents use some sort form of technology in their daily work, with video conferencing being a lead contributing factor in the work environment, amounting as much as 94.35% of individuals. Surprisingly, virtual reality of usage amounted to an outstanding 0% of respondents' usage. It was found out that 22.22% of some form of AR virtual sim rig at some point was used in their work. The study then projects that this number can jump to 46% the next 5 years, which is something really nice and interesting. Um, of course, oh, and just to go back a little bit, pardon. Here's a little bit of a graph kind of showing the projected and the current rate, pretty much just data we found right here, kind of showing the numbers. And it's kind of astonishing seeing how interesting the virtual reality and AI usage is. So, main thing to bring up as well. Um, Research on factors influencing acceptance and trust of offenders' risk assessment training. The objective is to evaluate the levels of acceptance and trust that criminology students have toward a chatbot used for training in juvenile risk assessments, and to identify the factors influencing these perceptions. The trust, out of the 112 people who used AI bot into training, it was apparent that majority of the participants were either satisfied and or highly content with the bot and had a great deal of trust in the AI bot. Acceptance. So, a great deal of individuals seem to place a heavy trust in the AI bot from the experiment, and those who did exceptionally well, surprisingly, also had a great deal of trust in their own skills, an experience which can lead to the further acceptance of the AI bot. Success. Nonetheless, it was success. It was a success. The incorporation of the chatbot played a pivotal role in the experiment, and those confident in themselves, they even did better in the overall scheme of things, further showing the success of the AI. Meaning that the more confidence you had in your own skills, the more actual beneficial the bot was. So, what does this signify? More research and implementation. So, more research and implementation means more research into AI and its implementation into the community, specifically the judicial system. This means the more implications of AI in courts. 44% of judicial operators use ChatGPT, which is a very popular AI and used by many people, even myself. And yet only 9% actually seem to want to implement it into more work and studies in regards to law. So with this together, this can bring upon better research and studies shown prior, showcasing what would be the most advanced day and age of studies for the future, and more specifically, artificial intelligence. This should improve efficiency, reduce backlogs, enhance fairness in the legal process, pretty much everything we covered in the fourth slide. So, what are some issues and concerns? People feel the concern of AI and its ability to properly assess situations, and more importantly, decision making, are a major concern in judicial decision making. Participants also seem to know, as in the other graph and sample poll, that racial inequality is more likely to be better off answered by human responses, something that's very important in the courts. Um, as you can see right here, it's actually not that favorable in decision making. Now, here's the conclusion. Studies, majority of studies highly favor the usage of AI and technology in a work setting. A lot of studies already do that in some way or another in AI, or some sort of tool is being used. Importance. AI would be something that could be trialed in more detail, and possibly a great way to get more research. With the great support and backing, the ability to add into the field, and specifically judicial courts, would be interesting. Some concerns. Many have concerns in regards to the ability of finding ways to incorporate AI into the courts. Others have also shared concerns and ability for AI to make logical decisions, which would be a question in its usage as an asset. Implementation. Overall, the implementation of AI technology in the courts could be a great way to see how things could change in the future. Would be a highly interesting and favorable overall due to its backed studies and great behavior in trials and studies, of course. Thank you very much. Um, Ultimately, here's my reference page, just kind of showing you a little bit of a rundown. I hope you liked it. I just kind of want to go in a quick little overview. I do have some plans to kind of make it shorter or longer, actually, since I know the presentation will be longer. And I just kind of wanted to go over a couple things. And I know we went over a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.